ice hockey team gets ready for the tournament this year after missing the Hockey East tournament last year. So we welcome back Coach McCloskey. Had Jamie Wood a few weeks ago. Nice to talk with Jamie a few weeks ago, Coach. And just give us a little bit of thought on last weekend against Maine. Your team was helped out a little bit by BU knocking off UConn, but your team is this close. 1-goal games here against Maine. Maine's a playoff team here coming up, so you got to feel somewhat encouraged by what you've seen.
Yeah, I'm very encouraged. I mean, obviously the results aren't there. We're not getting the number of wins that we expect or we think we maybe possibly deserve. But at the end of the day, I think our team has, had very. I think they've been able to put each one behind them, and it's not like we're in a, you could look at the record or at the schedule and see some of these losses starting to get and think, boy, maybe they're really getting down. That's not the case at all. Kids are fighting, playing good hockey. Making me sound like a bit of a broken record, but I'm actually really proud of the group as a whole. We've made a lot of progress this year, and we did make the tournament. I'm happy for the team. I'm happy that we're going to get the experience because it still is a very young group, and I think it'll help us a lot going forward.
So, Danielle Ward, a bit of a Wildcat killer. Last year, I think there was a game where they knocked you off here. I think she had a hat trick in that one. She notched the game winner in overtime this week. What are you seeing? I know we've talked at length many times about the depth in Hockey East, but what are you seeing in terms of a style of play? Do you think that what's the number one thing that's changing in the league? Is it the depth at the forward position? The goaltenders have always been there. What has been the biggest change, do you think, over the last few years in terms of just the overall depth of Hockey East?
I would say it's just, without trying to be too general, it's just depth. Yeah, you're right. Goaltending's been there, and clearly this year is another year where goalies, you go right down the line here in our league, and Schelling might be as good as theirs in the country. Lacasse is right there, and then you had Audit, Maine, a couple others. Garcia, and then Panicia took over or seemed to win the job down the stretch of UConn. But back to the question would be, my answer would be, Nate, it's just depth across the board. Like, whereas Maine might have had one Ward, now they've got Ward, Doherty, Crusette. They've got a nice mix of skill forwards. Obviously, we've always had a team or two. This year, it's you could say it's BU that has the most scoring depth. Northeastern, they got Pickett, they've got Coyne. I mean, everybody has enough scoring. Probably you could look at Vermont, UNH, and UConn, and if you were to talk to us three, that's what we lack. We don't have enough depth in the scoring department.
You've mentioned skating all along this year. This year, the speed is just huge.
That's gone up a notch.
Do you think because of that, your team has kind of struggled here a little bit at home because of this large ice sheet? You guys are so young; you haven't been able to take advantage of your speed as you've had over the last few years.
Yeah, I think we need to improve our speed in terms of we need to recruit. Losing Hannah Armstrong, very quick. Maggie Hunt is a powerful skater, and we don't have enough depth. We've got a couple of players on the back line right now that have never had to play at this speed, and so they're being thrown into the mix. But this is certainly a team meaning our team, that needs to make a pretty good step speed-wise, and we've addressed that in our recruiting, and we'll be a quicker team. Speed alone isn't the killer, but when you couple it with the skills we're seeing with Coyne and Menard and Ward. I mean, these kids are skilled players with lots of, with terrific foot speed, but the ability to deposit the puck. So, yeah, that's given us problems this year at home. And sometimes they'll Nate on the big ice if you're smart, and we haven't always played smart, but, you can almost use it to your advantage because there's a lot of ice for them to take themselves out of scoring position. Sometimes I worry more about speed on the small surface just because you don't have recovery time. But that being said, it's an area where you make the point. It's probably your answer is probably better than mine. It's depth across the board, but it probably, I would say, it may be speed / athleticism. Everybody has really improved their athletic abilities across the board within their team, a much better group of athletes, and one of the results of that is you're seeing is across the board better foot speed on the ice as a whole.
So back to this weekend in the tournament, you will travel down to BU, a team that you beat once this year, here at the Whittemore Center. Talk a little bit about the road into the playoffs here, because you and your team have been facing playoff-type situations for like the last month of the season, just trying to get into the tournament. Do you think that helps you down the stretch here?
Yeah, I don't think it. I mean, that could help us in the sense. I don't think we certainly haven't been coasting. It's not like we had anything locked up. I mean, we played hard. We've played hard the last month, so I don't think as far as helping us, I mean, I think the challenge for us is going to be staying present, because we're going to be at their building. They're the best scoring team in our league. We're defensively the most challenged team in our league. So on paper, you'd say, has the potential to be a mismatch, but we did beat them here. I think, Jen Gilligan played the 2 games this past weekend, and after a long layoff, she seemed, they weren't perfect, but she made a lot of quality saves, and she looked very comfortable for the most part. I think going into that game, if we can get good goaltending, I think we're going to be a team, because we are able to score. And while I wouldn't want to say this is a perfect matchup for us, I'm not. We can't go into it, and we shouldn't, and we won't go into it thinking anything other than it's a winnable game. Some things have to go our way. We have to take advantage of and make our own breaks, but I think our group will be very fired up. They haven't been there, like you said, a lot of them, and we're just going to have to be careful that we don't get too tight or too high.
When you play at home, is there a little more pressure in the playoffs? Do you think there's a little more carefree attitude going on the road?
I don't know. I wouldn't say carefree, but I think the road tends to focus you. Yes, because you're there for a purpose, right? When you're home, the distractions are sometimes easier, and I think going on the road brings a team together. And at this point of the season, we know the buildings, we've been in there. I don't mind playing on the road. I mean, except for the fact that most teams play well at home. I mean, most teams are tougher to beat in their own building than they are on the road. So that's just the nature of the sport. But I think our group will be excited, and if we can get through the first 5 or 10 minutes without, maybe shooting ourselves in the foot and settle in, I think they'll be in for, we'll be in for a real good game, and a game that we can feel good about as a group collectively. And the pressure is certainly on the favorite. We've been in that position more often than not. That can work to your advantage if certain things go your way or you create opportunities.
So this BU team, there's a plus and a minus to playing them in the first round. Yes, you have to play them in the first round, but if you do knock off BU, they're out of the tournament. That scoring depth is out of the event altogether, and you can refocus on some other teams moving into the semis.
There's some really good teams, though, at the top. I mean, I'm not sure. It'd be hard Northeastern won the league, and so much like ourselves, in some years where we won it, they were the most consistent team over the course of the 6-month season. I'm not saying they're not the best team, but I think it's going to be a really fascinating tournament. And we going into the tournament, we're because of what we've gone through this year, we're certainly the least consistent, you could say. But in many ways, I think we've played better than again, our record shows, and our consistency is better. Just haven't gotten the results. And in a one-game shot, one thing we can point to, if anything, is by and large, if you go through our schedule, the opening night of a 2-game weekend has been our best performance. Whether it's resulted in a win, it's when our team has really played sharp and when they're fresh. So, we're talking one game, and we'll see how it plays out.
So the women advance to take on Boston University. That's Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock down at Walter Brown. HockeyEastOnline.tv will have the call of that one. We have at least one more inside look at women's UNH women's hockey here at the Whittemore Center. Hopefully many more to come here down the road. We will see you next week. We'll either review a win against BU or recap the season in general. This is Brian McCloskey. I'm Nate Bridges. We will see you next week inside UNH women's hockey.